Hey gang, Dave again, here to review Captain America. The little bit of feedback I got from the three people that watched my first video said that I got to get rid of the teleprompter, so I'm just gonna kind of ad-lib the whole thing. Captain America, I have really been looking forward to this movie. I am a Captain America fan. The problem is that whenever I look forward to a comic book movie, I just get really bitter and angry when, it pretty much bombs and starts to suck, i.e., Green Lantern, and to a lesser extent Thor. But no, it didn't suck. It was actually halfway decent. I quite enjoyed it. Not to say that it didn't have its problems, which I will get into in excruciating detail later on in this review. But overall, definitely, worth seeing. Go for it. It's an interesting question, though. Why do I love Captain America? I mean, he's not one of Marvel's biggest heroes. I mean, he's had a few comic strips of his own, but he's never been huge. He did lead one of the sides in Civil War. I mean, but honestly, he is. I love heroes that don't have invulnerability. That any punk, any thug with a gun could potentially get lucky and take him out. That's why Batman will always be superior to Superman. Superman is like, yeah, it's easy to be a hero when there's like a list of literally one thing in the universe that can hurt you, and if you think there's a lot of that lying around, read the blog post I did on Kryptonite, the Science and Stupidity, um, a couple weeks ago about how incredibly rare it would be for a chunk of a planet several light years away to actually land on our planet. And actually, it would take over 800,000 years for anything like that to get here. Anyway, so he's not invulnerable, which is really cool. He's also not, but I just like him because he what he stands for. He's really, I'm a big fan of the U.S. military and what they do for us, and the fact that he can epitomize that, the nobility and the sacrifice, and he commits so much to doing what's right for our country, is a beautiful thing. Which is, it's easy to stand for truth, justice, and the American way when nothing can hurt you. But when all you've got is a shield and a slightly stronger than average punch, then it makes makes you that much cooler. The other general thing I loved about this movie, aside from the fact that, Captain America and I like him, is that they didn't try to modernize it. They set the whole thing in World War II, which, I like Nazis as a villain because they are demonstrably evil. There is nothing good about them in any way, shape, or form. They really don't seem to do much except, be evil. And so it's clear cut. So many of these villains we get, yeah, even in, like, take Transformers for example. Sure, the Decepticons were evil-ish. They wanted to conquer our planet and enslave the human race, but they were doing it in order to rebuild their home planet. And who's to say, given the choice, we wouldn't do the same thing, i.e., Avatar? So, it's nice to have a villain that there's no gray area for him. Meanwhile, a Nazi officer, played brilliantly as always by Hugo Weaving. That guy is friggin' amazing in every role he does, but this one in particular did well. Finds a lost ancient artifact, Indiana Jones, yeah, and uses it to power up death weapons that are modestly almost as good as a rifle. They make these blue power, blue power weapons that disintegrate humans and basically spare the movie the pain of having any inconvenient, horribly mangled or screaming wounded bodies lying around, thus ensuring a PG-13 rating. He is essentially runs Hydra, and he is the Red Skull, as we find out later on. But dark, good, sinister, everything a Hugo Weaving character should be. Back in America, in Brooklyn of all things, Steve Rogers gets stuffed into a giant martini shaker and has steroids or something injected into him, except it looks like, blue. I've been drinking this Gatorade Power blue drink that's looks exactly the same. Anyway, comes out looking like Adonis, or, like Chris Pine normally looks, and turns into Captain America. There's some really annoying crap in the way of the story having to do with him being a shill for war bonds, running around doing, morale plays like vaudeville or, Broadway, what have you. Um, he does chase down some other guys. He does a couple of things, but basically he's kind of a joke, except he's there to sell war bonds. So after all that, he finally gets over to Europe where he rescues Bucky, and he finally crosses paths with the Red Skull. Um, there are some honest to God funny moments throughout the movie that don't require a comic relief character of any kind. So Michael Bay, you can suck it. He basically, there's a girl in there who's super hot, but I don't know. I couldn't figure out why she was there. Didn't really do a whole lot for the story. Um, Whatever. I'm a purist. And then stuff happens. Things blow up. Hijinks ensue. Um, Nazis look like they look very similar to the World War One Nazis or Germans from Sucker Punch, in that you never see their faces. They wear masks all the time, and they die without screaming in pain or anything like that. So um, overall, a great story. I'm not going to give you a whole lot of details because I expect every single one of you to go see it. This is exactly what nerds are about. Okay, the stars. And for this, I am going to have to reference my clipboard here. First of all, one comic book movie, 2 stars. I always give extra stars for just being comic books. Decent story, 2 stars. Hugo Weaving, 1 star. Tommy Lee Jones, 1 star. Not Invulnerable Hero, 1 star. Who doesn't love the geeky kid a la Peter Parker turns into a superhero? Always kind of fun, 1 star. Nazis as enemies, 1 star. The Red Skull, when they showed his skull, looked uber creepy and really, really cool. Great effect on that. I don't know if that was CGI or just really good costuming and makeup. Probably CGI, but just looked super cool. Generally good acting. Oh, that was 1 star for that. Generally good acting all around, 1 star. Hagley Atwell, the super hot girl in the movie, was driving me nuts for most of it, 1 star. I'm going to give them a star for avoiding the obvious super cheesy ending that I just smelled coming from about the last 20 minutes of the movie. They skipped it, so I'm like, awesome. It doesn't necessarily end on a high note. The minor love interest with what's her name, Hagley Atwell, didn't really dominate or interfere with the story. They managed to keep that under control, so 1 star there. All the supporting characters were cool and added the story, 1 star. They kept more. They actually kept to the Captain America story. They didn't. I mean, they didn't. They weren't perfectly on par, but they didn't also excrete all over it, if you know what I mean. So 1 star there. And the Captain America costume was really, really cool. It went through a couple evolutions during the course of the movie, but right at the end there, it was just dead on, really cool. That's 1 star. Now the black holes, and there are a few, not major ones, but a few. I'm going to give it 1 black hole for making what is essentially a 2-hour long trailer for the Avengers. I mean, it really, really drives the point home. I'm also going to give it a 2nd black hole for, whenever you see a Marvel movie, there's always a spoiler at the end. You have to sit through literally all the credits. I mean, what the hell is a best boy? It sounds like son of Best Buy or some kind of term used by sexual predators. But you get to the trailer, the spoiler, and it is literally a trailer for the Avengers. So another black hole there. Let's see. Skip ahead. The Hugo Weaving was great as the Red Skull, but he was really 2-dimensional, and every bad comic book villain cliche, super evil genius cliche that he could play, he did. Execute the henchman that doesn't perform. Huge grandiose plan to conquer the world by blowing stuff up. Capture the hero and don't put a bullet in him. Just give him your whole plan. Minions who look like S&M troopers and they can't shoot straight. I mean, just every possible cliche was there, and I found that a little insulting to my intelligence. So one black hole there. Also, I'm not going to do a black hole for this, but I think that Hugo Weaving is such a great actor. I really could the movie could have benefited from more face time with him on the screen. Let's see. The whole villains can never hit a hero who is charging directly at the guns card was played over and over and over again. Every time Captain America charged straight at the guns, that was a guarantee that that all the bad guys suddenly, couldn't hit the broadside of a barn that was charging straight at them. So one black hole there. Um, Toward the end, a lot of the action started to get kind of hokey. I mean, suspension of disbelief is one thing, but I don't know. This was going beyond. Um, the rescue mission early on for Bucky seemed to drag on for a while, and the whole Captain America as a vaudeville act seemed to slow the movie down quite a bit. I give it one black hole for those two. There are a few story holes, including one real big one toward the end where I was like, really? Is that really the story? One black hole. Um, as cool as the stories was, as cool as the story was, pretty much every character was two dimensional without a lot of nuance. I don't demand a lot from comic books, but something is kind of cool. I mean, Steve Rogers was straight up the good guy. Hugo Weaving was straight up the bad guy. Um, and everyone else just seemed to fit into, comic book stereotype character A, B, C, and D. Which, to be fair, it's from a comic book, but still, one black hole for that. I think the movie, yeah, it could have done with a hair more. The movie was 125 minutes, which 125 minutes, which sounds long, but honestly, 10 more minutes of character development wouldn't have really dragged the film down a whole lot. So, total on that 9 black holes. So a grand total of 8 stars, which is actually a very respectable score. I enjoyed it immensely. I recommend it highly. See it on the screen, see it in 3D if you can. Not a real good date movie, in my opinion. I don't think the average woman would appreciate the comic book nature of the story, and the only female character in the love story was so underdeveloped. I don't think it would really draw a girl in. So, you know, do as you will, but I do recommend that you see this movie. Thanks again, everyone who watched this. Small but growing fan base here. I do have a couple of things going on. One is I would like to get some theme music, but I don't want to get sued. So if you have a small band and want to get your name out there, I'll give you credit on each video. A front and a back end theme song would be awesome. I don't want to just pirate stuff and then get sued. So. Otherwise, thanks again to all my friends for helping put this together. Apple did a lot. I got a friend now editing, Deathbunny. He's calling himself. He doesn't want to use his name. And he's the one that actually put in all the snide comments and the little extra crap that you see going on. Leave him with some creative control. Thanks again, and that's it. If you have any requests for movies, feel free to email me. I'll have them put the email up on the screen. If you enjoyed this review and want to read it in more detail or read more of my actual reviews from other movies, visit me at thenerdblog.com. Got quite a few up there. So thanks again, and have a great day.